Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show. Zian is on his way back with his brilliant army. Suddenly his brows raised, and his expression instantly became serious. Because he had strong men monitoring the inhumans and insects throughout the entire process. So just now. Suddenly, it was discovered that there were 10 Jinyu ships of the insect race. It's like teleporting. Suddenly appeared in the human race. Why is it so certain that it is within the scope of the human race? Very simple. It's because of these 10 town ships. Just by chance, he appeared next to the human race he was targeting this time. The Universal Human Federation provides Zian with a position as a human race that is convenient for him to return home. Basically, they are in places such as some military towns. Because that's all. Only in this way can Zian's safety be guaranteed to the greatest extent. Military town. Usually there will be a strong federal army to guard it. Zian concluded immediately. This is the time when the bugs are preparing to attack the humans. And it should be through something like a natural wormhole. Without any hesitation, Zian immediately issued an order. Everyone pay attention. I sense the presence of an enemy. Minimum 10 town ships. Be prepared for a fight to the death. Zian's voice was cold. Everyone's spirits were suddenly shaken. Those seniors. Everyone is gearing up and their eyes are shining. There is nothing that excites them more than fighting against the Inhumans and the Inhumans. 10 minutes later. Zian locked the location of the space barrier and issued the order. Bombard. After the space barrier was cracked, immediately bombard the insectoid spacecraft in the positive universe. Everyone responded immediately to show their understanding. The next second. Under the precise guidance of Zian. A large number of cannonballs easily blasted a huge crack into the space barrier. The 7 Jinyu ship ancestors, Li Shitao, and In Heike, were already ready to go, a total of 9 Jinyu ships. Lock on their respective goals. The cracks haven't fully opened yet. A series of extremely powerful missiles and artillery shells were launched. Because of the previous anti-universe experiences. So Zian now only needs to enter the anti-universe. In these accompanying spaceships. They will carry a large amount of ammunition for the town ship and even the supreme ship. Although it will take up a certain amount of space. But once you can use it, it will all be worth it. For example, the previous attack on the insects. Another example is now. The 9 Jinyu ships are all fully loaded with ammunition. There is no need to worry about insufficient ammunition at all. The Jinyu ship began to attack. Zian also began to observe the situation on the other side of the crack. Buggers this time. Indeed, only 10 Jinyu ships came. But there is an entire army of starships fighting with the federal army. This army has at least 200,000 people. The most important thing is, they all look like starships from the human race in the universe. Needless to say. It should be that damn human traitor. There's nothing to say about that. Zian waved his hand and said coldly, brilliant army. Kill all these damn human traitors. By the way, go find me where these human traitors come from. Especially that space wormhole. Find it for me immediately. Destroy it directly for me. The 10 Zerg-type spaceships suddenly appeared here. It must be through a natural wormhole, Zian can be sure of this, in order to prevent human traitors or insect humans from escaping. The first thing to do is to find the natural wormhole and then destroy it. Leftover. It's like catching a turtle in an urn. Completely wipe out these people. With Zian's order issued, the brilliant army has been prepared for a long time. Immediately under the command of their respective commanders, they rushed towards the 20,000 human traitor army. And Zian. Needless to say. With the ladies of the dazzling fleet. Plus a Muzicho. He also killed him. Chiao Taoyu pursed her red lips tightly. Her beautiful eyes stared intently at the enemy opposite. Her beautiful face was full of energy that refused to admit defeat. Heart. But a wave of despair emerged. She is an unparalleled genius. Moreover, he is the fifth genius in the list of geniuses and the first among the human race. She had always been second before. However, the first genius of the human race was ambushed and killed by the insect race some time ago. She became number one. At the same time, he is also the captain of the Genyu ship. Top 10 on the genius list. They are all town ships. Even if she is a peerless genius at the Genyu level. Faced with the siege of 8 enemy Genyu ship captains. Die. It's just a matter of time. The reason why there are 8 ships, that is because 2 of them were besieging the commander of the Federal Army who was watching the military town. Such a military town. Usually at least the captain of the vertical starship is on guard. Depending on the importance of the military town, the captain of the annihilation ship may personally guard it. Own side. Just 2 town ships. Enemy. But it's 10 town ships. The most important thing is, it has reached the level of Genyu ship. In fact, the gap between the peerless geniuses and the non-peerless geniuses no longer seems so great. If she wasn't naturally good at fighting, now dead. But even so, she couldn't resist it much longer. At this time, the Universal Human Federation has issued an order, allowing her to open a space crack and escape at any time. In the future, Zian will be asked to rescue her specifically. In this regard, Chiao Taoyu could only remain silent. Because she knows. Escaped on his own. This military town must be gone. This kind of military town guarded by the captain of the Genyu ship usually contains things that have a major impact on the future of mankind. Either it's scientific research content. Either it's something very important. Or it's a very important natural wormhole, etc. Once it is lost, it will be a huge loss to the human race in the universe. Not to mention, there are still so many federal soldiers here. Don't hesitate. Run quickly. The rough and hoarse voice urged her again, you are the number one genius of my human race now. Our human race has already lost its number one genius, and we must not lose another one. Run quickly. Su Tianjia will definitely save you. As long as you are alive, the group has hope. Even if you die with us now, nothing will change at all. Only alive. Wait until you become the captain of the supreme ship or even the world-destroying ship in the future. Then this loss is nothing at all. This is the 8th time the commander of the Federal Army in this military town has urged. He knew why Chiao Taoyu, the first genius of the human race, had never escaped into the space crack. But he knew better. Human race. We can't afford to lose another number one genius. Chiao Taoyu bit her silver teeth. She knew the other person was right. Only by staying alive can you minimize the loss, of course. Escape into the anti-universe is only possible with a certain probability. It's not just that you can escape if you want to. The king is good, the insect humans are not fools, they will watch you escape. Chiao Taoyu took a deep breath, a trace of pain flashed in her eyes, but she still gritted her teeth and said, don't worry, I will definitely repay you in the future. However, she hasn't finished speaking yet. Suddenly something moved in my heart. Immediately afterwards. Right at the center of their fighting area. Suddenly, huge space fluctuations came. Chiao Taoyu was startled. Everyone was startled. This is waves from the anti-universe? Toe. How come this fluctuation is so strong? Next second. A huge space crack was torn apart out of thin air. He didn't even wait for anyone to see clearly what was happening on the other side. Accompanied by a cold but vaguely familiar sound, like a sound he had heard somewhere, kill. Suddenly. Countless missiles cannonballs. Just like a violent storm. Covering the sky and blocking out the sun, it moved toward the 9 Zerg-type spaceships that were stunned and covered them. Violent fluctuations. Terrifying pressure. He even wanted to give this whole world to Ningxi, Autumn Peach Rain. He stared blankly at the sudden crack in space. Then there is the opposite side of the space crack. Countless artillery shells and missiles poured in overwhelmingly. For a moment, I was somewhat confused. BT-. She seemed to have thought of something. And she was not the only one who thought about her. And the commander of the Federal Army in this important military town. Hiss, I know. I know. It's Su Zian. It's Su Tianjiao. Haha. It must be him. It must be him. A few years ago, Su Tianjiao brought his brilliant fleet and brilliant army into the anti-universe. 7 months ago, he led the lost strong men of my human race to attack the insect race. With so many Jinyu ships now, it must be. Actually, there is no need for him to speak. Which of the federal troops at the scene had not thought of this? Even. Not only the human race immediately guessed who the visitor was. On the insectoid side, there are also those 200,000 human traders who have also thought of this. Suddenly, everyone's expressions changed drastically. Su Zian is powerful and terrifying. Imprinted into the minds of every ethnic group in the universe. Now that Su Zian suddenly appeared, the traders and the insectoids suddenly felt a thump in their hearts. Especially the 9 Jinyu ships that emerged are the most deadly. Now. Not to mention killing Qiu Taoyu, the first genius of the human race, and destroying this important military town. Whether you can survive or not is a question. Think of this. For 93 this time, the captain of the Jinyu ship, the leader of the insect race, made a prompt decision, immediately give the order escape. As for these more than 200,000 human traders, they don't care whether they live or die. To live alone, the group is the most important thing. After all, more than 200,000 people fled together. It will definitely disrupt their rhythm. The key is that the natural wormhole is simply not big enough to accommodate so many people escaping together. Instead, this group of people just left the queen behind. Unfortunately, they want to escape now. It's too late. First, Su Zian and the others had already prepared and expected. Just to prevent them from escaping. Secondly, 7 human seniors, whether it is Li Shitao or Yin Haiki. They all belong to the strong ones in the Jinyu ship. Maybe Li Shitao is a little worse. But the senior human race and Yin Haiki must be the strongest among the liars, with preparation. How could they be allowed to escape? Attack, go straight to the point. So that they have to stop for a moment to defend. And such a slight pause will suffice. A starship. Flying out of the space crack at high speed. Then lock in their respective goals. Then he killed him. There is only one Zerg township left. There is no need for Su Zian and the others to worry at all. The commander of the Federal Army, who had long since reacted, was intercepted with great excitement. He was so brave in fighting. On the contrary, Qiu Taoyu, who is the peerless genius and the most powerful one, has become the one without any opponent. Silently suspended in place. Staring at all this in a daze. I said. Captain of the Jinyu ship, can we help you? I don't want to see my people die. Su Zian's slightly teasing voice sounded in Qiu Taoyu's communicator. Qiu Taoyu woke up with a start and said quickly, Ah? Oh. Ah, I'm sorry, I'm just too surprised and pleasantly surprised. I didn't expect it was really you, Su Zian. Ah, that's right, let's not talk about it now. I'm going to kill these human traitors first. Qiu Taoyu seemed to be shocked that she seemed to have said too much, and many human traitors had begun to flee. Not daring to say anything more, he rushed forward and started killing everyone. Su Zian shook his head. He didn't say much. Now is the time to harvest a lot of evolution points. Zian will naturally not let it go. He took the girls and went in to kill them. The journey of abusing food began. One thing to say. The overall strength of this group of human traders this time is actually not bad. B. It depends on who you are competing with. In front of Zian and others, it's not enough. In front of the brilliant army with the lowest number of star destroyers, it is also not enough. In addition, the brilliant army and several vertical starships of the human race's predecessors went to search for natural wormholes together. Finding natural wormholes is also easy. It just depends on where this group of human traders flee the most, and that's it. The top brass of the Universal Human Federation. They all breathed a sigh of relief. Zian suddenly appeared. It was something they didn't expect. It also surprised them. They found, these years. Zian really gave them too many surprises. So much so. The surprise was so great that they didn't even know how to reward him. A personal reward for Zian. In fact, it is already very rich. Since Zian now wants to develop his own power. Then reward him in this regard. As for how to reward and what to reward, it needs to be discussed carefully. Anyway, just do everything possible to cultivate it. Besides the situation here, it was also immediately reported by the official media of the Universal Human Federation. The news was immediately overwhelming. The citizens who were still angry and worried that the first genius of the human race was about to fall again. At this moment, smiles appeared on all faces. So, at the critical moment, we have to look at our eternal brilliance, Su Tianjiao. As for this battle, there's not much to say. Because it was a one-sided massacre. The Jinyu ship cannot defeat the human race, because the insects couldn't really send the strong men from the township over. To put it bluntly, they can be sent here. More or less, they all have a hint of death squads in them. Whether he can go back alive or not is a question. Naturally, it is impossible to send the strong men from the Jinyu ship over. This is also the reason why 10 Jinyu ships were dispatched at one time. The main reason is that they are afraid that their strength is too ordinary and their number is small. Just don't get killed instead. Facing the powerful human race, not to mention that you have no power to fight back. The whole process is like beating a child, there is absolutely no problem. As for the remaining human traders, it's simpler. These human traders. In front of the brilliant army. Just a bunch of rabble. Brilliant army. An army specially trained by Zian. All members are composed of top-notch talents. Adopt the lowest red superior quality starship. And has been growing on the battlefield. There are also all kinds of natural materials and treasures provided by Zian, etc. Let's put it that way, anyone from the bright army can take it out. They are all strong men at the same level. The combat effectiveness achieved by the combination of these strong men is unimaginable. As for why other forces don't do this, the reason is simple. They either lack financial resources or are reluctant to invest. Or, it's just not famous enough and no genius is willing to join. Zian, the reason why he can do it. It's because he has unlimited potential. These people are all his fans. I am even more interested in Zian's unlimited potential in the future. Except for the brilliance. There are also federal troops in important military towns. There are also Zian and the brilliant fleet, as well as the remaining human seniors. And Qiu Taoyu, the unparalleled genius of the Jinyu ship, it's really like abusing food. Chopping melons and vegetables. Although they are of the same human race. Even this group of human traders are still orthodox humans. But kill. No one is merciful. Not only must they all be killed, including their family members, elders, and children. Leave no one behind. Kill the chicken to scare the monkey. This battle. It lasted for about 40 minutes, and then everything was over. All that's left are some finishing touches. and to hunt down a small group of fleeing human traitors. That's all. This is a crisis targeting the number one genius of the human race. It has since been resolved by Zian. On the insect-human side, you can imagine their anger. It's Zian again. It's Zian again. Now. They are angry again. There is no particularly good way to target Zian. But planned for Zian. It has been ongoing and planned. Maybe one day. Here it comes again. But Zian is not worried either. All the powerful people above the starship level in the universe are being monitored in real time. Just ask, who else can assassinate me? No worries at all. Next. On the contrary, it should be considered how to counterattack all the actions of the insects in the past 7 months. That's the most important thing. Zian learned from Qiu Taoyu that the insects had retaliated since he attacked the insects. I also know that the first genius of the human race has fallen because of this. To be honest, Zian understands. This matter has something to do with myself. At least there is an indirect relationship. Although this is the revenge of the insectoids. But Zian. He must come back with revenge. And his revenge. Naturally, it is also aimed at those peerless geniuses of the insect race. But don't even think about the top 20 talented people of the insect race, because even the top 20, they are all Jinyu ship captains. In fact, the top 50 on the universe prodigy list are all captains of the Jinyu ship. After 50, there are those who are on a starship or below. As for the top 20 geniuses of the insect race, although they also have vertical starships. But those are also the top strong men. Either a 9th level or a 10th level vertical starship. Experienced thousands of battles. Zian didn't have much confidence that he could do better than others. Even if I can do it. It's definitely not that simple and easy. During this period, it is easy to attract strong men from the insect race, or allow them to escape. That's not necessary. So. Top 20. Remember first. Take it easy. Come one by one. Not urgent. Zian, anyway, a decision has been made. He wants to kill all the outstanding geniuses from the insects and inhumans on this year's list of geniuses. Including the first and second ones on the ranking list. The one who currently ranks first on the list of geniuses is still the peerless genius of the inhumans. The second one has become the unparalleled genius of the insect race. As for the third, in fact, it is not Qiu Taoyu. Third on the list of geniuses, he is still a genius of the insect race. Even the fourth one is a genius of the inhumans. She used to be sixth, now she is fifth. It's time to say it or not. This year's Tianjiao list is the Tianjiao. The inhumans are the strongest. The insectoids are slightly worse. It's the most crotch-stretching one. Of course. This was before Zian was born. Since Zian came out, especially what he has done in the past few years, even if Zian's current strength is only at the immortal level. But its potential, its importance. It directly and comprehensively improved the quality of this generation of geniuses from the human race in the universe. The quality of this generation of geniuses from the human race in the universe has reached the level of number one among the 3 races. That's the gold content of Zian. It's just how much the inhumans and insects value Zian. It is impossible to send 2 full world-destroying ships to assassinate Zian. This is a treatment that even the fallen first genius of the human race has never enjoyed. So. Even Qiu Taoyu, the current number 1 genius, faced Zian, who only had immortal strength. There is not even the slightest bit of high profile. Because she knew it very well. Maybe not too long in the future. According to Zian's outrageous breakthrough speed. I'm afraid I'll catch up with her soon. Then took her place. Become the first genius of the new human race. and waiting for Zian to become the first genius of the human race. The #1 spot on the list of geniuses in the universe will definitely change. Not to mention, Zian is still her savior now. Qiu Taoyu thanked you for the 3rd time, Zian, I really thank you this time, otherwise. Zian waved his hand to interrupt and said helplessly, that's enough, that's enough. We are all compatriots, no matter who it is, I will take action. Let's not say these words, okay? Qiu Taoyu was not a pretentious person, so she nodded immediately and said, then I won't say anything. Besides, I have a merciless request. I do not know you. Zian nodded and asked, say. Qiu Taoyu said in a deep voice, this time the insect tribe counterattacked, I really want to come back with revenge. And I definitely can't do it myself. If the federal high-level people plan, they will definitely pay a heavy price. So I don't want to act with them, and I'm afraid they won't allow me to participate. I would therefore implore you that if circumstances permit, can I tag along with you? Especially when you go through the anti-universe to attack the insects and inhumans. Don't worry, I will definitely obey your orders throughout the process and will never act without authorization. Zian laughed, without much hesitation, and said with a smile, of course it's no problem. Why, but, this kind of action will definitely be very dangerous, and I can't guarantee that I can come back alive every time. You are the #1 genius of my human race. If you fall because of this, I cannot bear this responsibility. So as long as the senior management agrees, I have no problem. Hearing Zian's words, Qiu Taoyu couldn't help but rolled her beautiful eyes and said speechlessly, no, you really don't know your current weight, do you? Although I am indeed the #1 genius of the human race now. But that's because my level of strength is currently the most powerful among the geniuses of this generation of the human race. That's all. In terms of potential alone, none of me can compare to you. If nothing else. If you don't believe me, just ask and see if we are both in danger at the same time and can only choose to save one person. Look, will the human race save you or me? Given 10,000 opportunities to choose again, I will choose to save you 10,001 times. So the higher-ups agreed for you to carry out such a dangerous action. Of course you will agree to my actions. Zian shrugged, that way, I have no problem. However, I can't guarantee when action will be taken, so it's best that you deal with the things you need to deal with during this period. Then go to my territory as soon as possible. When action is taken, it can be carried out directly. Seeing that Zian agreed, Qiu Taoyu's bright and pretty face was suddenly filled with smiles. He nodded repeatedly and said, yeah. Don't worry, I will definitely come to your territory within a year. Qiu Taoyu said. Zian nodded and said no more. In fact, a peerless genius like Qiu Taoyu joined. He was quite satisfied. Even, the calculations have already begun in my mind. In the future, will there be a chance to bring Qiu Taoyu into his dazzling fleet? Good guy. That's really the genius of all the members. Even. Zian is already thinking, someday in the future. Top 20 on the list of geniuses. All are the names of the brilliant fleet. That scene. I believe it will be very spectacular, right? It will also be the beginning of the pinnacle of the human race. Finished chatting with Qiu Taoyu. On the human side. One by one, strong men from all over the country rushed to support him. Even. A world-destroying ship has also arrived. And as soon as this world-destroying ship arrives, under Zian's strange gaze, the captain of the world-destroying ship with white hair and beard flew out of the starship. Then he brought a young female human senior, the captain of the Jinyu ship, who Zian had brought back, into his arms. Then burst into tears there. As for the female senior human race, her tears were also falling like crazy. Seeing this, Zian couldn't help but sigh. Look, Lingzhen was rescued last time, and a scene of deep love between mother and son was staged. Now, another scene of father-daughter love was staged, poaching, but see you. The captain of the world-destroying ship, whose hair and beard was all white, actually kissed the female senior human race on the spot. The corners of Zian's mouth twitched. I thought it was family affection. It turns out to be this damn love. Come on, sir, Chang'e Xinghai. It is quite far away from Tianruo Xinghai. Chang'e Star Sea is a star sea located in the northwest of the 108 star sea of the Universal Human Federation and is relatively central. Tianruo Xinghai is the southeastern border. There are several seas of stars in between. Originally, Zian has no plans to go back recently. I'll come. He was going to purchase a batch of things from Chang'e Xinghai to take back. Chang'e Xinghai has many unique specialties, materials, and treasures. Normal transportation will be much more expensive, and generally there is a price but no market. Now that I am here, I can just buy a batch to take back. However, following a communication from the top of the Universal Human Federation, Zian had to rush back without stopping. Just now, the top management of the Universal Human Federation will give Zian a total of 10,000 sets of ultra-high-pressure training rooms. As well as the matching pharmaceutical formula, even the finished pharmaceutical product was supplied to Zian with a total of 100 million bottles. 100 million bottles of finished medicine are enough for 10,000 people to use for 100 years. Of course, if 807 has 1 million people, it can only be used for 1 year. So it does look like a lot, but in reality, it doesn't take too long. Follow-up. Zian will definitely have to spend a lot of money to supplement it. But none of this matters. What matters is the 10,000 sets of ultra-high-voltage training rooms, given to you by the Universal Federation of Humanity, are truly not for sale, the highest-end ones. It is also the latest developed ultra-high-pressure training room. To put it more simply, this is the ultra-high-pressure training room. Ordinary people don't say they bought it, let alone used it. Can't even see it. Even the vast majority of people don't even know that such a thing exists. But this time, the Universal Human Federation directly gave Zian 10,000 sets. That's the reward. No amount of money can buy it. Zian expressed that he couldn't be more satisfied. No. After handing over a group of federal troops, they brought the spaceship fleet here to make purchases. Zian took the remaining people and flew straight towards the direction of Tianruo Xinghai. Those seniors of the human race. As soon as he returned, he said hello to Zian and left in a hurry. On the way back, there are only the brilliant fleet, Lu Yuyu, Mu Ziqiu, and 7,500 brilliant troops. There are also 500 brilliant troops who have gone here with their 50 spaceships to purchase unique materials and treasures. As for whether 500 brilliant troops are enough. Let's put it that way. Think about it carefully. Just these 500 brilliant troops. Without any foreign aid from the Earth Federation. It can easily destroy any force similar to the Earth Federation. Remember, it is easy to destroy. This is how powerful the brilliant army is now. This is also the first batch of confidant forces that Zian has mastered in a real sense. After having this batch of ultra-high pressure training rooms, their cultivation speed must be faster. Even Zian is already thinking about it. Specially build a few large spaceships. Then a 2,000 ultra-high pressure training room was installed inside. Then go to the anti-universe, where biological energy is at least twice as dense for cultivation. Good guy. Then start practicing. The speed will be so fast that it will fly. Even Zian himself was a little moved. He is now at the immortal level. Normally, one level is promoted every year. Breaking through to the void ship. It will take at least 10 years. But if you adopt this method of cultivation, it may take 5 years, or even less time, to complete the advancement. Zian was naturally moved. Think no more. Take the crowd with you. Heading towards Tianruo Xinghai. It sounds quite coincidental. Among the several star seas I passed by on my way to Tianrui Star Sea this time. One of them is Jiuxiao Xinghai. And, you will also pass by the Milky Way in the Ninxia Sea of Stars. It happens to be more than 10 years since I went back. Since I passed by this time. Then simply go back to the Milky Way, the solar system, and the Earth. And Qing Fuyue. She has not been back for more than 10 years. Now she is her own woman again. It is also appropriate to go and see her parents. Sail all the way. Nothing happened. The interstellar pirates escaped early. There are no human traders or insectoid aliens coming to attack and kill. This journey is a bit boring. Good thing. In the age of the universe and interstellar space, everyone has become accustomed to this kind of boredom. Navigation in the universe, although the scenery is spectacular and gorgeous. But it was also accompanied by an unbearable sense of loneliness and that sense of insignificance. 4 months later. The moment he came out of the stargate of the star sea level wormhole. Su Zian, Qing Fuyue, and Lu Yuyu. All invigorated. Lu Yuyu is okay. It hasn't been out for a few years. But Su Zian and Qing Fuyue, looking at the familiar and spectacular Earth Federation in front of them, felt more or less a sense of homespun and timidity. At this time, there were only Su Zian and the girls of the brilliant fleet plus Muzichio. As for the brilliant army, then let them find a place to rest and entertain themselves in the Earth Federation. After all, it's about combining work and rest. Speaking of Su Zian's arrival, the top brass of the Earth Federation know this. But at Su Zian's request, they did not make it public. In addition, the president of the Earth Federation is also Lu Yuyu's biological grandfather, so there is such a relationship. There is no such thing as a welcome ceremony. 0. Everything was silent. In addition, the starships of Su Zian and others are also in camouflage all year round. So no one knows their identities. No one was alarmed. Let's go home and have a look. Su Zian waved his hand and flew towards the solar system with the girls. Solar system. Past and present. These are the places where he was conceived. For the Milky Way, for the solar system, for the Earth. There is always an indescribable sense of intimacy in Su Zian's heart. After this time. Come back next time. I really don't know when I went. At this time, their location was not very far from the Milky Way. It will take at most half a day to arrive. Only. But it happened at this time. A cry for help suddenly sounded from the public communicator. Request support. Is there anyone around here? We are the Earth Federation Forces, Osprey Team. We are now being attacked by a group of small and medium-sized pirates. The enemy leader is a mid-level assault ship. Asking for support. Requesting support. Our situation is critical. Request support. A familiar yet slightly familiar voice. Su Zian was stunned in place. The next second, his expression immediately changed and he shouted loudly, "Support immediately. I must save them. As fast as possible. See if the distance is enough. Once we enter the range of the missile, just blow those pirates to smithereens." No. No way. It's easy to accidentally injure your own people, birds and sky pigeons. Send drones for support immediately. Be quick. Su Zian roared as he drove the 5.228 and flew in the direction of calling for help at the fastest speed. Female. Although I don't know why Su Zian's expression changed wildly after hearing a woman calling for help on the communicator. But we set out immediately to provide support. Qing Fuyue and Hu Qiqi immediately turned on the detection radar and locking radar to the maximum. Observe the enemy's movements at any time, and if there is hope, launch missiles for bombing. Bai Xiaoyuan and Chu Tianga immediately released the reconnaissance drone. The reconnaissance drone is small, immortal ship level, and of golden legendary quality. Therefore, it is very fast, slightly faster than a starship, and it is also equipped with the most basic weapons. although it is the most basic weapon. But if you launch a cruiser, there will be absolutely no problem. Until then. The women's expressions became strange. Is it possible? The woman from the Osprey team calling for help on the communicator. Is Zian's first girlfriend? Zian was very anxious. He never expected it. It has just entered the scope of the Earth Federation. I actually met an acquaintance. Osprey Squad. Although it has been more than 10 years. But. For this Osprey Squad. Zian will never be forgotten. Osprey Squad. It was the Earth Federation Army team that I joined when I took on my first bandit suppression mission. The woman's voice just now was the former vice-captain of the Osprey team. Lu Yun. He was also the second strongest person in the Osprey team back then, and the captain of the advanced reconnaissance ship. Of course. It can be seen from the current detection radar. The other party is now the captain of the frigate. In addition to her, there is also a friendly frigate. Not surprisingly. It should be Zhang Qingji, the captain of the Osprey team. I saw a large number of enemies chasing them behind them. But after they themselves were not killed immediately, Zian couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. For Zhang Qingji and Lu Yun, Zian's senses are quite good, and they all have communication numbers. Always have. Only. Zian is usually too busy. And Zhang Qingji and Lu Yun. He has never contacted Zian. Maybe 06. It must be Zian's powerful rocket speed. There is also the increasingly incredible identity and status. They all felt deeply that the two sides were not from the same world at all. I just didn't expect it, this time. What a coincidence. Think no more. Although they have no problems now, the situation is definitely not optimistic in the future. Immediately, speed away as fast as possible, the other side. In a large irregular primitive planet belt in the No Man's Sky area. The so-called irregular primitive planet belt. It is the most primitive planetary aggregate in the universe. Or. It is a very large meteorite belt. After countless long years, meteorites gathered together and finally formed the shape of a planet. Fantastic. At this time. Dozens of starships. It is constantly moving through it. Explosions continued, and various rocks and metals flew everywhere. And an Earth Federation Army team. Fleeing quickly. This Federation Army team is in the ordinary army of the Earth Federation Army. It's a mid-level team. Because there are 2 frigates in this team. Moreover, the captain, Zhang Qingji, is an advanced frigate, the kind that can break through to the assault ship at any time. Not bad at all. In addition to the Osprey Squadron, there are also 7 or 8 civilian biological starships. But they are all scout ships. Just like when Zian joined the Osprey team. Earn evolution points. At the same time, you can earn a pretty good salary. However, the risk is also relatively high. Such as this time. While chasing a group of interstellar pirates. But they were attacked by the current group of small and medium-sized interstellar pirates. 1 assault ship, 4 frigates, and more than 24 reconnaissance ships. It's definitely not something they can compete with. Hashtag. They have already lost 3 starships. The communicator also kept calling for help. But what makes them despair is. Until now. There was no response. On detection radar. There was no appearance of any of our own starships. Despair. It grows in everyone's heart. Inside the Osprey. Zhang Qingji's expression was solemn. But it was more despair. Yes. Even if it's him. I am desperate now. In fact, he had been mentally prepared for this day. I just didn't expect it. It will come so quickly. So sudden. The only thing to be thankful for is his and Lu Yun's child. You will receive a large pension, enough for him to grow. Yes. He and Lu Yun. Already married. A dozen years ago. The two of them were already in love with each other. More than 10 years have passed. Their children are 11 years old. In my mind, I was thinking about all these messy things. Suddenly, Lu Yun's voice sounded in the communicator, "Captain. How about I send Zian a message? This time, we will most likely have to explain it here. For the sake of fighting side by side with him. I just ask him to take in our children, develop in his territory, and enter his school. I think he would agree." Lu Yun's words. Letting Zhang Qingji's thoughts return, he was silent for a moment and said hesitantly, "But how to get to Tianrui Xinghai every day? There is a sea of stars in the middle. How can he, an 11-year-old kid, get there? Take a ride on the Xinghai ultra-long-range passenger spacecraft? But just for this trip, all the money will be spent, and what kind of person is Zian now? Can you remember that we have something else to talk about in this critical moment?" The two even talked about funeral arrangements. It can also be seen from here. The two of them are excited about the arrival of this day. Already mentally prepared. And the conversation between the two. It also made the rest of the originally desperate Osprey team look confused. All the members of the Osprey team knew about this. After all, several of them had fought alongside Zian. A few others who didn't know it had already heard other members bragging about it. What an honor it is to have fought side by side with eternally bright Zian, must brag. But the captains of these temporary civilian creatures, one by one, were all confused. For a moment, they couldn't tell whether Zhang Qingji and Lu Yun were bragging or telling the truth. "Do you know Zian? Have you ever fought side by side? And Zian's contact information? What a fuss. What a status our Su Tianjiao has. Now everyone is already the captain of the immortal ship. And he is the captain of the immortal ship who can blow up even the most talented geniuses at the level of vertical starships. What an awesome guy. Me. Just two frigate captains. It's Lord Nebula again. He is also the greatest genius with the greatest potential in the human federation. The gap is too big. Now this moment. Can they still have the heart to brag about this?" At this time, Lu Yun continued, "Although I don't have much contact with Zian. But I'm sure he's not like that. Just the fact that he risked his life to fight against the universe to find our seniors of the human race. 093 inches enough to explain his character. Not to mention. It's just a hint. How will you know if you don't try it? What if he agrees? I don't ask for high achievements every day in the future. As long as you join Zian's command in Zian's territory, you can find a great future for Tian Tian." Zhang Qingji seemed to have finally been talked through by Lu Yun. But this is also obvious. Normally, he would not be embarrassed to contact Zian. It's because he doesn't want to make things difficult for others. I don't want to embarrass myself either. What's more, they had only fought side by side. It's not even familiar. For more than 10 years, there has been no contact. He didn't want to break this memory. But it's time now. It doesn't hurt to give it a try. What if it is possible? Just as Lu Yun said, that is equivalent to giving their children a great future every day. That's Zian. Becoming Zian is now something that many people in the universe dream of but cannot achieve. Even if it's just the lowest level person. But as long as he joins Zian's command, then you won't have to worry about anything in your life. Just when Zhang Qingji was about to respond, suddenly, a teasing voice sounded from the communicator. "Brother Zhang, why are you so annoying? Will you contact me or not? Sister Yun, why don't you just be decisive? How can you be the captain? Let me see, why don't you let Sister Yun be the captain? You, please step aside and give way to someone worthy of your position." As soon as this voice came out, everyone was sluggish on the spot. If you're enjoying my content, please consider donating a coffee. Or checking out my shirts on TeePublic, for Zian's voice. People present. Regardless of whether you have had any contact with Zian in real life. They all sound very familiar. National Idol. Humanity is proud. The pride and pride of everyone in the Earth Federation. That's definitely no joke. Video about Zian. Watched it countless times. Even. Earth Federation official. Every day, various deeds and videos of Zian are played non-stop. It's impossible not to be familiar with Zian's voice. FFLX. When this sound comes out. Others don't say. Even Zhang Qingji and Lu Yun, they all froze suddenly. Next second. Cannonballs came out of nowhere and suddenly shot at the interstellar pirates who were chasing them. Before those interstellar pirates even reacted. Just like chopping melons and vegetables, half of them were broken easily. Followed by. The starships, which were huge to them, appeared out of thin air as if teleporting. These 10,000-meter starships. There is even a starship tens of thousands of meters long. Let Zhang Qingji, Lu Yun and others. Let the interstellar pirates chase after you. One counts as one. Everyone was dumbfounded. 10 immortal ships. A void ship. This battle. They have never seen it in their life. No. You must have never seen it in reality in your life. In reality. The most awesome starship they had ever seen. There was an inspection by the Federation Army commander of the Earth Federation. And the opponent is just a star destroyer. The ERE *#B. You must know that more than 10 years ago, the strongest thing was only the star destroyer. Nowadays, although there is an immortal ship. But there are only 2 ships. Originally there were Lu Yuyu and Gu Qingzhan. But they all went to Zian's Ime Nebula. Star destroyer. It is already an existence that is beyond their reach in this life. Now that I suddenly see so many immortal ships, plus a void ship, I can understand it even if I am stupid. But soon. They came to their senses. One by one, they all let out an incredible exclamation. Hiss, this. Zian? Is it really him? Oh my god. No, it's impossible? Yes. It should be him. It must be him. That voice just now. Then it's the immortal ship again. This is Zian's dazzling fleet. It's really Su Tianjiao. And his brilliant fleet. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. These members of the Osprey team who joined later, as well as the captains of these reconnaissance ships who joined temporarily. Everyone was shocked. Zhang Qingji, Lu Yun, and former Osprey team members. Everyone was ecstatic. Not just because they don't have to die. What's more, they actually met Dr. Su again. I thought I would never see him again in this life. After all, the 2 sides are really not from the same world. It can only be used as something to brag with friends and juniors after dinner a few years later. Now. I met Zian again. Although we haven't seen each other for more than 10 years, but I always feel. Things have changed and people have changed. A dozen years ago. Zian is still at the same level as them, and his cultivation level is even higher than theirs. Rose. They are still just reconnaissance ships, although their level has increased a bit. On the other hand, Zian. Shockingly. He is already a super strong man who can scare both the inhumans and the insects. Zian. Lu Yun covered her mouth with surprise on her face. It seemed that he couldn't believe his eyes. After Zhang Qingji was stunned for a while, he said in disbelief, Zian, how could you do this? Zian smiled and joked, of course I came all the way from Chang'an Xinghai after listening to brother Zhang and sister Yun calling for help. How about it, it's quite timely, right? Look at our speed now. I knew you were in danger and came here in an instant. Just tell me if you are awesome or not. Pfft. Qin Fuyue and other girls couldn't help but laugh. bragging Zian. This was their first time seeing it. And with Zian's joke. Zhang Qingji et al. I finally recovered from the sudden surprise. Zhang Qingji laughed loudly and said, awesome, awesome. Our human race's eternal brilliance, Su Tianjiao, must be awesome. Who dares to say that you are not awesome? I will fight with him. Ha ha ha. Zhang Qingji's hearty laughter sounded in everyone's communicator. From his laughter, you can clearly hear how good his mood is at this moment. Don't blame him for that. First, he and his teammates don't have to die. Secondly, meet Zian again. At last. Zian is still the same Zian. Even now he is already a human treasure-level figure. But still haven't forgotten the past. One mouthful of Brother Zhang made him feel better than ever before. The same was true for Lu Yun, who laughed heartily and said, Zian, you are right, Zhang Qingji should abdicate and make way for others. I told you that you would never forget us, but he still hesitated. Captain, why don't you let me take charge? Zian smiled and said, Sister Yun, why are you and Brother Zhang together? And you have a child? I just heard you chatting, it seems like every day? Speaking of her child, a motherly smile suddenly appeared on Lu Yun's face. Yes, her name is Zhang Xiaotian. Zian nodded and said, let's do this. I don't know what your intentions are, if you are willing. How about taking Xiaotian to my territory? Although my place has just developed, the teaching aspect is still quite good. Even if it's a brilliant public school, the principal is a teacher from the Taiku Galaxy training camp. Teachers are also people I poached from some training camps. If you get good grades, you can join my brilliant academy. Not to mention the teaching staff. It can be better developed. Zian paused, and with the ecstatic expressions of Zhang Qingji and Lu Yun, he continued, in addition. If you two are willing, you can go there together. After all, although your child will be fine there, having his parents around will be good for his growth. Needless to say, looking at Zhang Qingji and Lu Yun's overjoyed expressions, you can tell how excited they are. But Zhang Qingji hesitated for a moment and said, we must have thought about it 10,000 times. But we are now Federation Army soldiers of the Earth Federation. And my team members. Zhang Qingji hasn't finished speaking yet. Immediately, he was interrupted by the Osprey team members. Captain. What nonsense are you talking about? It's such a good opportunity, why are you still hesitating? We are all adults, do you still need to take care of us? Take sister-in-law and Xiaotian there quickly, we don't need you to take care of us. That's right, Zian is right, why are you so hesitant as captain? Although these people are not polite in their words. But inside and outside the words, the sincere feelings between teammates are revealed. Zian, from Nuaqian, smiled and said, look, Brother Zhang, take a look for yourself. Come on, I know what you're worried about. As for your position, I just need to say hello to Governor Lu Federation. Then you take your Osprey team and join the planetary security team together. Also, you can just take your family and move to Ime Nebula together. By the way, about half a year. Under my command, a brilliant fleet of 500 people will pass by here. I will tell them, and you just come with them when the time comes. Zian. Easily, arrange things clearly. And listening to Zian's casual arrangement decided the future of these people and their families. In Zian's mouth, it was just a matter of words. Zhang Qingji and others couldn't help but sigh. Who would have thought? The young boy from more than 10 years ago. More than 10 years later this year. But it was a casual remark. Who can determine their future? Life. Sometimes. It is so full of fantasy, everyone just chatted like no one else was watching. Beside. That gang of interstellar pirates. Scared to the point of peeing and pooping. Trembling, not daring to say a word. They would never have thought of it. It was just an ambush of a small Earth Federation army team. It will actually attract Zian and his brilliant fleet. The key is to let the brilliant fleet take action against them. I don't know whether to be honored or sad. Just when they were thinking whether to beg for mercy and surrender directly, or to see if they could escape. Suddenly, more than a dozen reconnaissance drones appeared around them. It suddenly dawned on me. It turned out that what had just attacked them were these drones, using optical stealth. Another sad discovery. The drones of the support ships can easily destroy them. The difference is actually a bit small. And these. It was also their last thought in this life. Because the next second, after these drones killed them all with one shot, they returned to the starship of Bai Xiaoyuan and Chu Tianga. Such a group of interstellar pirates, who almost brought the end of the Osprey team, were easily killed by more than a dozen drones. This scene. Once again, Zhang Qingji and others were filled with sighs. Just over 10 years. Variety. But it's already so big. Even when they looked up, they couldn't see its full appearance. Although I envy 010. But more importantly, I am happy. After the two sides reminisced about old times for an afternoon, they separated one after another. Zian travels to the Milky Way solar system. The Osprey team went to their respective homes to deal with the matter of moving to Ime Nebula. Zian has already said hello. When the time comes, when the 500 brilliant troops pass by here, they will take them and their families with them. Ime Nebula will also arrange work for them. Don't think about joining the brilliant army. Because the brilliant army under Zian's command, the minimum joining standard is cruiser level. Of course, it would be no problem to join the Federal Army at the level of those large galaxies under its jurisdiction. But it's not necessary. Just serve in the planetary security team. Planetary vigilantes. It is equivalent to the positions of special police and armed police on Earth in ancient times. Specifically responsible for the civil security issues of a planet or a star system. Like a fight or something like that. There are also things like arresting criminal suspects and so on. Just suitable for their current strength. It is also much safer than the Federal Army. After separation, continue on your way without stopping. They have all entered the Earth Federation. Just half a day. Then he finally returned to the Milky Way and the vicinity of the solar system. That familiar sun. The familiar Earth, Moon, Mars, Jupiter, Venus, etc. This filled Zian's heart with the warmth of a wanderer returning home. Smile gently and take the lead. With the girls, heading towards the solar system. On the silver-white moon Triton, which is covered with various debris and garbage. Garbage boats are still rummaging through these garbage piles. But the communicators of these garbage ships were busy chatting. In those days. What a majestic person our tyrant gang is. I am a thin dog, how domineering I am. My human race's eternal radiant Zian, Su Tianjiao, was once a member of my tyrant gang, and was once a general under my thin dog. Back when Zian and Su Tianjiao had not yet become famous, I could already see his huge potential to dominate the universe. We burned yellow paper and worshipped each other, and we became brothers. I also had Su Tianjiao and Zian. We put our arms around each other's shoulders, drank wine, and went shopping in a brothel together. I still. In the communicator. Sections of the man's words, full of pride, continued to appear in everyone's spacecraft communicator. No one interrupted him. It seems that everyone is used to it. Listening to Shogo's awesomeness, it's getting more and more outrageous. Finally, a rough voice couldn't bear it any longer and shouted angrily, "That's enough for you. Skinny dog. I've already counted them for you. In the past 10 years, you have repeated this sentence a total of 18,800 times 3 times. And the more you brag, the more outrageous it becomes. Yes, everyone here knows about it. Suzy and Su Tianjiao did temporarily work in your Badian gang's territory. But what the hell are you saying about someone joining your Badian gang? What else can you say about burning a yellow paper, brother? What's even more outrageous is to hug each other's shoulders, drink wine, and go to a brothel together. You're not afraid of hearing this from him. You won't even know how you died when the time comes. Also, does it interest you to brag about these awesome things every day? Su Tianjiao is Su Tianjiao. Does it have anything to do with your thin dog? People still think you are a poor person. If you don't shut up, believe it or not, I will kill you. The man cursed angrily. It immediately caused a lot of laughter. Even the members of the Badian gang were laughing wildly. The thin dog didn't take it seriously at all, but said proudly, "Yes, I admit that some of my words are bragging. But I have spoken to eternal brilliance, Su Tianjiao, have any of you said so?" His magnetic voice has made me sit up in the middle of the night so many times that I can't help but burst into tears. That's such a nice sound. What a sweet sound that is. My male god, brother Su Tianjiao. Everyone heard this. Everyone's scalp was numb and goosebumps arose. Right in anger. Suddenly, everyone's communicator. Shogo, please explain it clearly to me. When did I visit a brothel with you? If you don't say this clearly, even I can't save you. You are going to be killed, and the only one to blame is your own nonsense. Besides, don't be so disgusting with me. Now that I think about it, a man like you is thinking about my voice all day long. I'm going to throw up, you know? Don't disgust me. Otherwise I'll beat you up. The moment Zian's voice sounded from the communicator, everyone looked dumbfounded. He suddenly turned his head and looked. That's when I discovered it. I don't know when. Just outside Triton's atmosphere. A total of 11 behemoth ships have stopped here at some point. It's just the sense of oppression brought by those 11 behemoths. It made their breathing seem to freeze. But, combined with the content of the words just spoken in the communicator and the familiarity of the voice, one counts as one. Everyone stood there dumbfounded. Only, what frightened them even more? Do not know when. There are a total of 11 behemoths, except for one of them. There are another 10 behemoths, including a void ship. The cannons of these starships were all aimed at them. No. To be more precise, they all aimed at the junk ship belonging to the thin dog among them. Only, such is the terrifying power of the immortal ship and the void ship. Aim at the thin dogs or aim at them. There seems to be no difference. Because they all die in one shot. The aftermath would shock them to death. Everyone was stunned. At this time, in the brilliant number, Zian explained to the girls helplessly, I really don't have one. No, before I awakened, do you think I would go to a brothel? Am I crazy? Do you have that money? That's enough for you. I'm bragging, but you didn't hear it. Zian expressed his innocence. He was just passing by. Originally, I had no intention of talking to this skinny dog. Who would have thought? This thin dog wanted to brag that he and I had known each other before. When he was being awesome, he actually opened a public channel. No way. It was impossible not to hear their conversation now. That's why. When I heard Skinny go bragging that he had taken me to a brothel with him before, the girls immediately stopped leaving. All of them were murderous. This posture. If this thin dog doesn't explain clearly today, I'm afraid it's going to end. Immortal. A violent beating is definitely inevitable. It fully proves a point. This is awesome. You really can't brag casually. The thin dog didn't know whether he should cry or laugh at this moment. Did not expect. He's bragging about his awesomeness. The real owner has arrived. The slap in the face was so direct. The essential. It was even heard by the members of the fleet. Talk. Now the whole universe is speculating. Except for Zian, all members of the brilliant fleet are women. And they are all beauties. Could they all be Zian's women? Yes. Netizens all over the universe are speculating like this. Including the two daughters, Taimei and Taj. In Zian's eyes, They have nothing to do with beauties. But still the same sentence. Each ethnic group, or each person's aesthetics, is different. Some ethnic groups. Strength is beauty. Ruggedness is beautiful. Boldness is beauty. For example, that Yu Xiao from China Academy back then. This is an extremely typical example. Until now. He is still deeply in love and obsessed with Tai Mei. On the contrary, it was girls such as Miao Xiaomi, Qin Fuyue, Hai Tang, and Hu Qiqi. In his eyes, she might not be called ugly, but she is definitely not as beautiful as Tai Mei, who has crooked nose hair and winking eyes. But now he has never looked for Tai Mei again. Because the gap between the two sides is too big now. He is now practicing hard every day. He no longer has the confidence to pursue Tai Mei. In short, the ladies of the brilliant fleet. The whole universe has already regarded her as Su An's woman. When they saw the ladies of the brilliant fleet plus this unknown void ship, they all aimed their guns at themselves. Thin Dog was not surprised. He only had a mournful face and an open mouth, but he didn't know what to say. After a while, he swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said with difficulty, that everyone, sisters-in-law. That braggart of mine. Me, brother Su, and I only exchanged a few words. Moreover, it's still the kind of conflict. How do I have the qualifications and blessings to be brothers with brother Su? Not to mention going shopping with him. I was wrong. Sisters-in-law, I was really wrong. I will definitely change my ways, and I will never brag like this to damage brother Su's reputation in the future. Shogo immediately apologized and admitted his mistake. The attitude is sincere and sincere. In fact, there is no need to apologize. Just say, dear sisters-in-law. This has already made all the girls happy. All the anger in my heart suddenly disappeared and turned into softness. The muzzles of the guns suddenly turned around. And Su Zian also shook his head speechlessly. Guess this kid can talk. Otherwise, I'm afraid I'll be punished for a while today. Okay, don't brag casually from now on. Su Zian looked at the frightened and excited skinny dog in the cockpit of the junk spaceship in a funny way, and dropped these words. Then he took the girls with him. Continue flying towards the Earth. Only Shogo, his tyrant gang, and the other garbage-picking gang members on this garbage planet were left behind. Everyone stayed in place in ecstasy and disbelief. Then, as fast as possible, Crazy sent the news that Su Zian had returned to the solar system to the people he knew. On the way back to Earth. The girls did not ask about these things. Because they know it very well. Things like visiting a brothel. It can't happen to Su Zian. Just now I was just angry that this thin dog had no limit to his bragging. Isn't this simply slandering Su Zian's reputation? So it was for this reason that I stopped to scare the skinny dog. I'm really ready to teach him a lesson. But the thin dog narrowly escaped disaster just because of his name. It can only be said that he is destined to die. News of Su Zian's return to the solar system. Like a super cosmic storm, it spread at an unimaginable speed. In fact, Su Zian knows who spread this. But he didn't care. After all, even if they don't spread the word about thin dogs, this road passes through planets in the solar system. It must have been discovered by someone who was interested. In addition, Su Zian never thought about hiding his whereabouts. Is that necessary? Only spread so fast. In fact, it was beyond Su Zian's imagination. This is not. They haven't even reached Earth yet. Just being outside the Earth. Then I saw it. Countless starships, spaceships, and even star shuttles. Like crazy, they flew out from various planets. Star shuttle. It can also navigate within the star system. It's just that you can't go farther from the star system. In addition, the star shuttle cannot be equipped with weapon systems. In terms of safety, it's very poor. But navigating within the star system will definitely be no problem. Take a quick glance. The densely packed starships, spaceships, and star shuttles. There are so many that they can't even be counted. There are few starships, but spaceships and shuttles, almost as long as they are not the kind of family that is so poor that their scalp is numb. Almost every family has one, and even everyone has one or even multiple boats. The entire solar system now has a large population. So one can imagine how many starships, spaceships, and shuttles are rushing towards this side. Thanks to the universe. Even with so many spaceships and shuttles, there is no sense of crowding at all in the universe. Ah. 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 Zian. Zian. It's really Zian. Aha. I'm crazy. I'm going crazy. I never thought that I would be able to see my idol in person in my lifetime. Zian. I am your fan. Zian, I love you. I want to give you a child. I have remained single for more than 10 years, because I can no longer like others. Welcome me, Tianjia home. Exciting words from these fellows in the solar system, with undisguised excitement, kept ringing in the public communicator. But because there are so many people talking. So much so that, in fact, most people's voices cannot be heard. At this time, it's time to compete with whose communicator is more advanced and whose voice is louder. Can be heard by Zian. They are all those with very high-end communicators and the loudest voices. Zian was helpless, faced the passion of so many people. He didn't know how to express it for a moment. 71E. It didn't make him helpless for long. Soon. The Federal Army garrison in the solar system immediately rushed out and surrounded Zian and the brilliant fleet to prevent others from approaching. The security team of the solar system was also dispatched en masse. In the end, even the head of the solar system continued to persuade everyone, and everyone calmed down a little. He did not continue to collide with Zian and the brilliant fleet. But even so, these people did not disperse. All gathered around. Extremely excited. They never expected it. Surprise. It came so suddenly. Their pride. They can brag about Zian every time they talk to people outside the solar system. Today. He suddenly came home. This surprised them immensely. It can be seen from this. Now Zian's status and prestige in the minds of these people in the solar system. Especially the original inhabitants of the Earth. Everyone is so proud. It's as if Zian appeared on the Earth, and he is superior to others. However, people in other places really do this. As long as I heard that they are from Earth, they are from the same planet as Zian. Their attitude will be much more enthusiastic. Tianjiao, welcome home. At this time, a familiar deep voice also sounded inside the brilliance. Zian just thought for a moment, then smiled and said, Captain Zhang, long time no see, how are you lately? Yes. The one who greeted Zian. He is the commander of the Solar System Federation Army garrison. It was also when Zian performed the awakening ceremony. I was extremely envious. Zhang Ersheng, who had greatly expected to become a strong man like him. More than 10 years have passed. Once the object of envy. Now. I can only envy him. This is the 5th chapter of Impermanence in Life. Zhang Ersheng didn't expect it. Zian actually still remembers himself. But. In fact, he was also deeply impressed by Zian. What impressed me deeply was not just Zian's current status. What's more? At the original biological energy awakening ceremony. The scene when Zian woke up also left a deep impression on him. But that's about it. But. Never expected it. It's really only a short period of more than 10 years. Less than 20 years. The young man who could only look up to him. The young man who had just awakened as a biological warrior and was not even bound to a starship. Now. But it has grown to such an incredible level now. It has reached the point where the entire Earth Federation can be easily destroyed in front of Zian. This is no joke. Without outside intervention, Zian is alone. It is enough to easily wipe out the entire Earth Federation. The so-called strong man of the Earth Federation 800. In front of him Zian. There is not even a single enemy. Haha. Pretty good. Zhang Ersan laughed heartily, thanks to you. In recent years, many people have immigrated to our solar system. There are so many companies and conglomerates investing in our solar system. Our economy is also growing very rapidly. Zian smiled and nodded, that's good. At this time, another familiar voice sounded. Little Master. Without even looking, he knew that the voice must belong to Xiong'an. Xiong'an had helped Suan a lot back then. And from beginning to end, he was very enthusiastic and respectful to Zian. At first, when Zian was expelled by the Chang family and his son, as well as the school principal, Xiong'an directly supported it. More than 10 years have passed. Xiong'an didn't go up because of his evolution level. Today, he is still just the president of the Earth Federation Evolutionary Association. Of course, with this status, in the eyes of ordinary people, he is already a big shot. Xiong'an, why is it that it's been more than 10 or almost 20 years, and it's still the 3rd grade? Zian joked, I heard that Qin Shanchuan is already in the 4th grade. You, my senior brother, are the ones. Xiong'an chuckled and said, I'm fast too. My breakthrough speed is actually not too slow. It's just because, little uncle, your evolution talent is so evil, so it seems that we are also very slow. I heard that you are now a 4th grade advanced evolutionist, little master uncle, right? TSK, that's amazing, it's only less than 2,000 years. Zian immediately laughed and said, wrong, it is already 5th grade now. Xiong'an's expression was blank, he was silent for a few seconds, and then sighed deeply. Nothing was said. But it seemed like he had said everything. What else can be said? All I can say is, the world of genius. It's not something a mortal like him can understand. EXXX. In the eyes of ordinary people, he is also a genius. But compared with Zian, nothing. He is worthy of being an unparalleled genius? Zian returned to his hometown without causing much sensation in the universe. Except for people from the Earth Federation. Especially these people in the solar system. Everyone is acting crazy. Wherever Zian goes, everything is overcrowded. Finally, I had to hide my whereabouts the entire time. Then it became quiet, and at this moment, Zian. On the moon, Qin Meiyua's home. Yes. Opposite Zian. They are Qin Fuyua's parents. He is meeting his father-in-law and mother-in-law. But what is different from ordinary people meeting their father-in-law and mother-in-law is, when ordinary people meet their father-in-law and mother-in-law, they are nervous and cautious. Serving tea and water in various ways, fearing that the father-in-law and mother-in-law will not be satisfied. But what about Zian? Oops. Good guy. Directly the other way around. When Qin Fuyua's father spoke to Zian, his tone sounded tense, exciting. That look. It's like a super fanboy seeing his biggest idol for 10 years. Qin Fuyua's mother. Then he kept serving Zian tea and water. If it's not a taboo, she can even serve Zian by squeezing his shoulders and beating his legs. Zian looked dazed. How is this? How is it different from meeting the father-in-law and mother-in-law in the fantasy? As I said just now, besides Qin Fuyua, I also have other women, but somehow, Qin Fuyua's parents didn't care. Instead, he looked like a gossip? This? Something. Zian, are all the members of your dazzling fleet really your women? Mother Qin asked, with a gossipy face. The big eyes are full of gossip. Father Qin is exactly the same, but because he is a man, it is difficult to ask. But that heart of gossip is just too much. The reason is simple. Just because of the first sight. Qin's father took Su Zian for a group photo and kept shouting idle. Hearing Qin Ma's question, Su Zian shook his head wildly. No, no, of course not. If you can't deny this, it's called peace of mind. In fact, you didn't lie, right? What Qin Ma asked was whether the members of the brilliant fleet were all of her own. Others don't know. But the two girls of Taimei and Taj, it is impossible for me to become my own woman in this life. Su Zian is absolutely sure of this. Therefore, Zian was very calm. Anyway, the question is not about whether he has any other women besides Qin Fuyue, right? Carto. It's a completely different reaction from normal parents. After hearing what Su Zian said, Qin's father and Qin's mother actually had expressions of regret on their faces. Su Zian was stunned for a moment. Qin's mother even underestimated her face with regret. How could it not be? How could it not be? I'm a diehard Su by CP fan. That Bai Xiaoyuan is such a lovely little girl. I followed you in the beginning, and I have no regrets for so many years. Alas, it's a pity. It's such a pity. Father Qin rolled his eyes and snorted coldly. That girl Bai Xiaoyuan is good. But I think the most suitable idol for me must be Fox Chi-Chi, and of course Meow Little Me will do. Anyway, I am a firm Shugu CP fan. No matter what you say. Qin's mother suddenly became angry, raised her eyebrows, and said coldly, you just like Hu Chi-Chi's kind of charming people, don't you? Then you go find a woman from the Fox tribe. Why did you marry me in the first place? Dad Qin was furious, you are so unreasonable. I just think Hu Chi-Chi is more suitable for my idol. She is the one most suitable for the position of the main palace. Qin's mother frowned, I don't care. 1.9 You must be a Su by CP fan anyway, otherwise you will get divorced. Just leave. www. Su Zian was stunned. Qin Fuyue was also shocked. Especially Qin Fuyue. He looked at his parents with blank expressions. Who I am? Where am I? Who are this crazy middle-aged star-chasing couple in front of me? I am a fan of my boyfriend. She was very proud of this. 18. Knocking on your boyfriend's CP. What the hell is this? The most important thing is. Isn't it the relationship between your daughter, me, and Su Zian? No, no. How do you feel that your future son-in-law is not only angry with you because he has many women? On the contrary, she is so excited and excited? What the hell are you doing? Looking at the parents who were getting more and more noisy. Qin Fuyue felt aggrieved, but she just didn't say it. Ha 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 ha. In the most luxurious henteing hotel on earth, unbridled laughter spread to every corner. This henteing hotel is not the kind of rooftop hotel with dozens or hundreds of floors that existed on earth in ancient times. But in the true sense, a hotel above the clouds. Anyone who has flown on an airplane knows how spectacular the scenery above the clouds is. Underfoot are thick white clouds, as heavy as giant marshmallows and like huge waves. The sun is always so bright during the day. The sky is always so bright at night. This is a luxury hotel that truly floats above the clouds. In the presidential suite of this most luxurious hotel, it was Su Zian and the girls of the brilliant fleet. When Su Zian laughed wildly and told him about going to see Qin Fuyue's parents today, and matched Qin Fuyue's angry, aggrieved, and confused expression. Don't say it's too funny. The girls immediately bent over with laughter, and even Miao Xiaomi and Hai Tang laughed wildly. The ladies no longer cared about being a lady or not. The reason why I came here to stay today, the reason is simple. Qin Fuyue was so angry that she ran away from home. Before leaving, she left a harsh message to her parents. If they dare not to knock her and Su Zian's CP, but to knock Su Bai's CP or Su Hu's CP. She decided that she didn't want this home. After she dropped this sentence, her parents went from being confused to having a firm look. 06, I'm afraid she won't be able to do it. But anyway. She ran away from home. It's okay not to return to this home. A few days later. Zian also went home. This home. It was his home for 18 years. It has never been sold. Just leave it like that. Originally, this old community was to be demolished. But it was precisely because of him in this community. Not only was there no demolition, some more superstitious people specifically buy houses in this community to live in. It seemed like he could get some of Zian's talent in this way. As a result, the prices in this community have become more and more expensive, and it has almost become a gathering place for rich people. It has become one of the most expensive communities on Earth. Especially those former neighbors of Zian. As Zian became more and more famous, these neighbors became more and more regretful. If I had known that Zian could have such achievements, I would have wanted to have a good relationship with Zian no matter what. But now, it's useless to say more. And those who are in the same mood as Zian's neighbors are Zian's classmates. Even his classmates in middle school have become sensible after more than 10 years. I regret as much as I want about my cynicism towards Zian. As much as he regrets, he hates the Chong family and his son. Speaking of the Chong family and his son, there was also the principal of Ching No. 3 Middle School. Now, Zian's previous deeds have long been dug up by the media. Naturally, everyone knows and understands what the Chong family father and son and the principal of Ching No. 3 Middle School have done. The media often took them out and flogged their corpses. So much so. The lives of these three people are as miserable as they are now. Jobs can't be found. As long as those bosses know about them, they will be fired directly. I didn't know about it at first, but when I found out later, I was kicked away without any discussion. Even the Interstellar Hunter Guild directly blocked their information and could not receive missions, not to mention the Evolutionary Association. There is not even a single evolver to evolve starships for them. So, nowadays, they are still just reconnaissance ships. Chang Xiaokong's father's assault ship was blown up, and people survived, but the starship had to be rebound. And because they have no money, there are no evolvers to evolve starships for them. So now the Chang family father and son are still just minions of the reconnaissance ship. Even eating is a problem. The dignified biological captain can only survive every month by relying on the most basic assistance from the Earth Federation. I have to say, they, and the principal. Now it has reached a certain level of misery. Of course, Zian didn't know any of this. In fact, he had completely forgotten about these three. Half a month later, revisited the familiar Earth. I even went to the Yangtze River, Dongting Lake, Yellow River, Amazon and other places to fish for several days using fishing gear from ancient times. We harvested a number of rice level and supermeter level fish. Finally, the dream I had in my previous life came true. After all, fishing was prohibited in the previous life. In many places, even recreational fishing was not allowed. It was hunted down by forces like Yunmeng's and even official forces all year round. 2. There is no such thing as nature anymore. With today's technological level. Fishing? If you can make these fish scarce, you will be lucky. Zian was finally satisfied. After half a month, he once again took the girls with him and embarked on the road back to Ime Nebula. The journey after that. No more accidents happened. 2 months later. Returned to Ime Nebula smoothly. Leave this time. It only lasted a few years in total. Several years. For the dimension of the universe, it is no exaggeration to say that it passes in the blink of an eye. However, for Ime Nebula, the changes are even greater. It's no exaggeration to say it's earth-shaking. Not to mention the spaceships and starships that can be seen everywhere. Every time I pass by some star systems, you can see the bright lights on those planets. The lights on the planet seem to be comparable to stars. Full of prosperity. In the universe, there are various luxury hotel chains, restaurants, entertainment and other corporate groups. They all came to Ime Nebula for development. Almost every star system has various ultra-luxurious floating hotels, hentai hotels, and other facilities. There are also amusement facilities built in the vacuum environment of the star system, such as planet roller coaster, planet shuttle, and other equipment. That's a thrill. The population is 1,377 times greater than when Zian first took over. This is what Zian told Zian. Then the planetary security team and the Federal Army patrolled continuously. Regarding public security issues, Ime Nebula is always at the forefront. Ime Nebula is developing so well. Zian was no longer worried. You can still continue to be busy with your own things. Be precise in your plan to kill the most outstanding geniuses of the insect race and inhuman race. Starting today. Officially prepared for implementation. Before this, it must be the ultra-high-pressure training room, donated by the Universal Human Federation. The volume of the ultra-high-pressure training room is somewhat too large. Each ultra-high-pressure training room is equivalent to a 100-meter-tall building, covering an area of 35 football fields. 940 is nothing on the planet, but installed on a large spacecraft. A spaceship can only install a maximum of 500 units. But getting 2 spaceships is enough. After all, one practice only lasts for 1 or 2 hours. 8,000 federal troops, each training once a day, rotated, there is no big problem. As for the increase in the number of federal troops in the future, we will talk about it later. The remaining 9,000 ultra-high-pressure training rooms. It is specially used for the managers under his command, and used to train the direct federal army. In this way, this will guarantee the brilliant army and provide a steady stream of fresh blood. Finally, grow to the extent that he can accompany Zian to conquer the universe and suppress the universe. Now, everything is just the beginning. Time flies. When the brilliant fleet collectively broke through to the second-level immortal ship, the 500 brilliant ships and 50 spaceships outside came back, carrying the 50 spaceships full of precious heavenly materials and earthly treasures. By the way, we also brought the Osprey team and their families. All members moved to the Ime Nebula. The brilliant army personnel gathered together. Next, that's when the plan officially started to be implemented. Since you, the insect race, have destroyed the #1 genius of our human race, there are also dozens of peerless geniuses, top geniuses, and geniuses. That works. Then me. Just take people with you. Destroy all the monsters and above geniuses from your insect race and inhuman race. Leave no one behind. As for why you are an inhuman? Do not ask. You should be damned if you ask. All must die. And Zian. I also gave this plan a very appropriate name. The Ultimate Plan. Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.